loved one, whether family or friend dies, many assume that is it. Truth being, they are still very much alive, just not in the physical body that they once lived in anymore. Our body, I will refer to, is the house we live in until it breaks down and no longer is livable. So what happens to the soul once it leaves the body, one may ask? The soul should move on into the light, or in some cases they may stay behind, still with us on the earth. It is a decision we choose to make when the time comes. There is no forced entry into the light. It must be a free will. Either way, whether still existing in the earthly plane or moving on, a soul will finally have obstacles in communicating with the living, even though they are still very much alive in spirit. No one can see them or hear them that is living except on very rare occasions. But what we don't hear with our own ears does not necessarily mean there is no sound or it is not there. I have been conducting and recording audio sessions for years in order to pick up voices from the other side and have accumulated hundreds of EVPs from those who have passed over. EVP is another word for the amazing electronic voice phenomena, or more commonly known as the spirit voice capture. One uses a digital audio recording device or even a video camera and asks questions to the deceased loved ones, then uploads a file to the PC or computer. They may find they have answers to the questions that were not apparent to the human ear during their audio. Every month, up to 100 people are killed by a hit-and-run driver in the United States. That is over 1,000 a year average. Many of the victims are young children. In almost all of those cases, the murder is never solved, nor the perpetrator ever arrested. I would like to take several of these cases and try to do audio sessions with those who have died from such a horrible fate. Maybe even if I can just solve one or two of these hit-and-runs with the help of the victims by using a technique called audio analysis in an attempt to collect voices from the other side. The information that may help find the criminals that left the scene of the accident, with the innocent left to die. My sessions may not be as effective without the family of the deceased loved one participating, or sessions may be more successful if at the actual location of the crime or in the home of the victim. It is far easier to get better results when near the victim's family. In this episode, we're going to try to contact two young children that were killed by a hit-and-run driver many years ago, and they still to this day don't know who has hit these children with their vehicles, and where they're here for anything. So the police are still looking for whatever information they can get on these children, and what I do is I am a paranormal audio analyst, and I conduct sessions where I talk with the deceased. I can't hear them, I can't see them. What I do is I have a recorder going, and I speak very clearly into a microphone and hope they do the same. And I'll ask them questions, and then leave it up to them to answer through the microphone, whether they can hear me or not, or what the answer to the question is. I can't hear their answers until I play back. If there is anything there, it's very staticky. It is very hard to decipher. You have to work with it a little bit to get it louder. But you can never take the static out of an EVP. An EVP is electronic voice phenomena, and it is the recording of a deceased person. And it's very interesting to listen to these, but very hard to hear. So some of them are clear. There have been ones that are very clear. So today we're going to be contacting two children who were both killed by hit-and-run drivers. One, her name is Jessica S. She's 14 years old from Long Island, New York. I'm going to leave out the last name to protect the family. She was killed by a hit-and-run driver on May 7th, 2004. Then there is 8-year-old Lewis. His last name starts with an M. He was hit and killed in Chicago, Illinois on August 15, 2003. There was never closure brought to these two cases, and the victims' families would like some closure. They'd like to know who did this. So what we're going to do is try to contact these children's spirits. Now, there's a good chance we won't hear anything. But you never know. You might hear them try to give us some information about who did this to them, which would really help the police to bring closure to this case and arrest the perpetrator who did this. And help the families so they can feel some relief knowing that the person was caught. The first one, like I said, her name is Jessica S. She's 14 years old, from Long Island, New York. She died on May 7, 2004 by a hit-and-run driver who has not been caught to this day. Nobody knows who they are. Jessica, if you're here, your parents would like to know that you're okay. First of all, can you please tell them if you're in heaven or with your grandparents? Are you all right, is what they basically want to know, and happy. Jessica, you have to speak into this microphone, and because you don't have a voice box anymore, you have to really scream into this microphone your answers in order to be heard. You'll see a green bar moving here when I talk. Jessica, I want you to try to do the same thing to move that green bar up, so it's showing your voice is being recorded. So again, I'm going to ask you, are you okay? Your parents want to know if you're okay and you're happy and you're with family in heaven. I'd like to know who, if you do know, who hit you with their vehicle, and whether it was a truck or a car. Can you please give us the model? Was it a truck or a car that hit you and killed you? Jessica S. Long Island, New York. Do you happen to know where they live, their address where they live? Or what state or town? Jessica, do you happen to know the license plate number of the person who hit you on May 7, 2004 in Long Island, New York? Again, this is very important. Jessica S. Long Island, New York, who died when you were 13 years old. I'd like to know the name or names of the people who were in the car or the vehicle that hit and killed you. Was it a male or a female that did this, Jessica? Jessica, is there anything you'd like to tell your parents or your brothers or sisters or any of your family? One more time, Jessica, before I talk to Lewis, do you know who did this, who hit you with their vehicle, what their name is, where they live, any information at all? Jessica A. asks from Long Island, New York. I'd like to thank you for coming, and I hope we recorded your voice and got some answers to what happened to you, so the police can bring some closure to this case, and your mom and dad can bring some closure to their heart, because I'm sure they've been wondering and very upset over this for years. Thank you for coming, and now I'd like to talk to 8-year-old Louis. 8-year-old Louis, L-U-I-S, and your last name starts with an M. You're from Chicago, Illinois. You died on August 15, 2003. Louis, we'd like to know who hit you with their vehicle, like if you have any idea what their name was, or any information. Particularly give us the name if you know it right now, first and last name. Do you know if it was a truck or a car that hit you? Eight-year-old Louis M. from Chicago, Illinois, who was hit by a vehicle and killed on August 15, 2003. Can you please tell us an address? Do you happen to have an address of where this person lives, the one that hit you with their car or vehicle? Is it on a street? Do you have a street address or just the town they lived in? Louis, do you happen to remember seeing a license plate number of the vehicle that hit you and killed you? Can you please give us the number that was on that license plate? I'm going to close your, Louis, would you like to say anything to your mother, your father, your sister, your brothers? Alright, I'm going to close the session now. This is a hit and run session of cases from people who have been killed by cars or vehicles, and the person has never been found that did this crime, and children have died and grown-ups have died from hit and runs. So I'm trying to get some closure to these cases, and hopefully the person that did this will be arrested and put in jail where they belong. And I'd like to thank 14-year-old Jessica S. for being here and trying to help us catch who did this, and 8-year-old Louis.M. From Chicago, Illinois. Thank you both for being here, and let's hope we find something. I'll review the audio and see if there's anything there. There may be nothing. Remember, it may be a lot of static because that's how the audio sounds when you record the voices. But if you eliminate the static, you're eliminating the EVP, the electronic voice, and the voice of the person that died speaking. So you gotta leave that static in here. And please remember they don't have a voice box anymore, so they have to use other means to speak. So it's going to be very, very faint, and see what we find. And thank you. If you are hoping to be a participant in another episode by conducting an audio session and sending the file to me, here's my email address, staslars@yahoo.com. Please include your full name, state you live in, and name of person you tried to contact, along with your audio or video file. Submission of the file for an episode is also giving permission for us to state your name and other info in our show and the viewing of your video or audio.